Warning, before listening to this creepypasta, you should know that it contains high references to suicide and anorexia. But I want you to know right now, none of it is meant to be taken seriously, and that you guys are amazing, and that those two things are never the true answer. I love you guys, and thank you for listening to this warning. Now enjoy the video. Good evening. My name is TSOF. Welcome back to the Asylum. Tonight you will be treated to part 1 of a brand new original series I'm making called Oakwood. I'm going to take you to a town, an abandoned town. This town is called Oakwood. A town that once thrived with life, now left to be forgotten. But no one can ever truly forget the horrors that took place in this town. Each story is a different experience in the town of Oakwood. I'll be first taking you to the basement of a collapsed house in the town, where we will find this diary. Have you ever wanted to read someone else's diary, even when they specifically told you not to? Tonight, you're going to get that chance. But sometimes, some diaries are best never to be opened. This story is the diary of a job well done. There was a town on Long Island just 10 miles east of West Babylon, the town of Oakwood, established October 12, 1900. As of 1984, 43,213 people lived there. It's been a ghost town ever since the year 2003. This world wanted to forget the things that happened in that town. But some memories just never die. Instead, they continue to burn underneath the surface of the town, like the everlasting flames of Centralia. About 2 years ago, West Babylon and other neighboring towns decided to issue a cleanup for the ruins of Oakwood. During said event, one of the volunteers stumbled across a locked door. It was connected to the floor leading to a basement under the debris of a collapsed house. Purely out of curiosity, the girl attempted to pick the lock. She picked the lock quite easily. There was a ladder leading down a few feet into darkness. The girl hesitated a moment. She looked around to see if anyone was watching. No one. After seeing she was completely alone, she started to climb down the ladder into the dark abyss. The girl jumped off the ladder when she was only a few inches from the ground. The ground made a loud creaking noise as her feet hit the floor. The room was pitch black. She could only see a few feet in front of her, the only light beaming down from the open door she had come from. She used the light from her phone to scan the room. It was a decently sized basement. The woman had a perplexed look on her face as she got a better look at the room. It had 2 huge cages with strange black rubber attached to both ends. Both cages had these strange chains hung up like decorations. A few feet in front of the cages was a desk. The woman walked up to the desk, running her fingers across the bars of the cages. She shined her light on the desk. It was old and rotted. A huge layer of dust had claimed the old thing. There was nothing on top of the desk except an old tape recorder. The desk had 4 drawers. In the first drawer she checked, she found very odd things. She found a lot of gags and rolls of duct tape in the top right drawer. In the bottom right drawer, there was nothing. The top left drawer also held nothing. However, when she opened up the drawer on the bottom left, she found a journal. It looked old and neglected, withered away by time. She opened up to the first page. There was a long entry written in script on the old yellowing paper. The woman held her phone flashlight close to the page and began to read. December 1st, 1983. The basement was dimly lit by a small light in the ceiling. The tape recorder had been playing I Started a Joke by the Bee Gees. A man sat down at the desk. He flipped open his newly bought journal and began to write. December 1st, 1983. Tonight, I had an epiphany. I came to learn just how wicked a man could be. People have said that no one can be more evil than the devil himself. What if one could not just be more evil then, but actually become the devil? I tried so hard to make this world a better place. I thought to myself, what if one could be so good and so true that he could actually become God?
To become God, you must first act like God. You must concede in His everlasting goodness. I came so close to doing just that. I took people that were not proud of themselves and gave them all that they desired. I felt the power of each soul I held fuel me. Each day, I got closer and closer to becoming God. That was until tonight. The two girls I have with me had Lucifer in their bodies. I can no longer bring salvation to this world. I can no longer become the new Christ. Tonight, I make the one final act as the God that could have been. I'm going to kill the devil. I'm going to kill Satan. Then I will be slain by my own hand. The evil that has corrupted me will end with me. I refuse to let it touch another. Tonight, evil dies. I have already quit my job, and I live a mile away from any other residents in Oakwood. So nobody will come looking for me. The devil will be dead, and I will have fulfilled my last duty as a possible God. My name is Josh Corbin. This will be my first and final entry. This is the diary of a job well done.
Josh closed the book and calmly put it in the bottom left drawer. The two girls in the cages cried silently. They were both gagged and tied with duct tape. Josh smiled.
It's time, girls,
he said with glee. His voice sounded distorted due to the mutilations he had done to his mouth. Both girls started to scream and squirm. Their voices were inaudible. Tears flooded down their faces.
Oh, come on. Don't be sad, girls. We're doing something amazing. Something that nobody else is capable of doing. Tonight, we're killing the devil,
Josh said with psychotic happiness. Josh walked over to the girl in the left cage and knelt down.
Katrina, darling,
Josh said with a slight giggle.
I'm so happy to be doing this with you. You are always a great student of mine.
Katrina shut her eyes and turned her head, trying to avoid him.
Katrina,
Josh said softly. Josh opened the cage and crawled in. He grabbed her by the head and forced her to look at him.
Katrina, honey, look at me. We're doing good things. I'm about to give you exactly what you wanted.
Josh grabbed Katrina's arm and rolled up her ragged sleeve, revealing scars on her wrist.
You've been trying to kill yourself for years now because you feel hopeless. I can tell you why, Katrina. I can tell you why you feel that way. You felt that way because nobody loves you. Nobody values your life or sees you as anything worth caring about. On Earth, you are worthless. Not because of you yourself, but because this society, this world we live in loves nothing anymore. The only one who loves you for who you are anymore is God. And tonight, I'm going to burn the devil out of you and bring you to God so you don't feel worthless anymore.
Josh uttered like a madman. Katrina screamed in terror and sobbed as he finished his last sentence. Josh grabbed her by the collar and tugged her out of the cage. Katrina cried and thrashed about, but to no avail. Josh grabbed a dagger from the desk and closed the drawer. He then lifted Katrina over his shoulder and headed for the small ladder. The girl in the right cage cried harder and cowered away to the back of her cage as she watched helplessly as Katrina was carried up the ladder. Josh opened the basement door and laid Katrina down. In front of her feet was a gas canister. He kept one hand on her as he was only halfway out of the basement. He raised his dagger.
Sorry, sweetheart, but this is just precaution. The doors and windows are boarded up. But just in case,
he said in almost a whisper. Josh then began to stab Katrina brutally in the feet. The sound of tearing, popping, and breaking of bones and flesh pierced the other girl's ears like a knife. The still caged girl screamed in horror and Katrina in agony, the gag still making their cries sound muffled. After continuously stabbing her in the feet, Josh pulled the dagger out of her foot and dropped it beside the gas canister. He climbed completely out of the basement and looked down at the entrance at the girl still caged.
Jezebel, you are my overall favorite in the class. The day I found out you were an anorexic looking to lose weight, I found the perfect solution. The basement is flame retardant. You will live to see your dream body.
Jezebel screamed as he shut the basement door and locked it. Katrina sobbed in pain and fear as she tried to scramble away. Josh picked up the gas can and started throwing gasoline onto Katrina and the floor. He dropped the can and pulled out a book of matches. Josh smiled as tears of joy fled down his cheeks.
Tonight, we got to save God.
He cheered as he lit one of the matches and threw it onto the floor. The floor lit up and Katrina was consumed in flames. She screamed in agony as her flesh cooked and the house began to burn. Josh raised his arms and looked to the ceiling, still crying with happiness as he began to laugh. Within minutes, he was also engulfed by the flames. The house lit up like an inferno. Jezebel kicked at her cage until it finally broke open and wormed her way out. She got onto her hands and knees and inched her way towards the ladder. Both of her hands and feet were bound by the duct tape, so climbing wasn't going to be easy. She carefully climbed up the ladder until she reached the basement door. She was about to attempt to push it open by force when suddenly a big chunk of wood fell from the roof and smashed into the floor. The vibration caused Jezebel to fall from the ladder. Barely landing on her feet, she stumbled back and slipped, hitting her head hard on the corner of the desk. Blood poured from Jezebel's head as she crawled to the corner of the room. Her vision was going in and out. Eventually, she passed out. The house continued to burn for several minutes before collapsing completely. The woman finished reading the journal entry, and her face went pale. Her jaw hung agape. Her phone then went off as she got a text notification. She jumped with a slight gasp. After a few seconds, she exhaled slowly and shut her eyes a second. She then opened them and looked at the text. It was from her boyfriend, Jake. Jesse, you home yet? Jesse then sighed and texted back. Coming home now. There's something I want to show you. Jesse then closed the journal and held onto it, planning to take it home. Jesse slowly walked past the desk to take one last look around. Then, she stopped dead in her tracks. There, in the corner, was the skeleton of Jezebel. Jesse gasped and covered her mouth as she backed up into the left cage in terror. Jesse started to panic as she heaved. Tears fell from her face as she gripped the journal tight and ran to the ladder, climbing it faster than ever. What scared her even more was that as she climbed out in the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of Josh's bloody dagger. Jesse ran through the rubble of the burned house and down the dirt road. Oh god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh fuck, oh my god. She kept saying to herself as she made it back to her car and hurried inside. She started it up and sped off, not stopping to say goodbye to any volunteers that she passed. There are many haunting stories that linger in the town of Oakwood, still waiting to be told. That fire did not end the evil in that town. If anything, it was just beginning.